So since tomorrow is fall, I figured I'd use that theme based on the fall equinox. This is when the Earth sits exactly above the Earth's equator. The sun sits exactly above the Earth's equator, so that the length of the day and night are exactly equal length. So there goes my, science astronomy lesson for today. But after the fall equinox, this is where we have longer nights. So our daytime, our sunlight is shorter, and our evenings or darkness is longer. So I think it would be a great way for us to do a little bit of reflection. And because of it, with one of the Bible verses I'm using, we're going to work on yin, but for the heart. So let's just start off in a nice comfortable seated position. If by chance it's not comfortable to be sitting straight on the floor, please make sure you're sitting on a cushion or possibly a block on your pelvic floor to kind of rotate forward, whatever feels comfortable. If you like, you can close your eyes, but more importantly, see if you can kind of keep your shoulders nice and broad so that your heart is open, flipping back. And we're just going to stay here in meditation. So I'm not going to have us do any specific pranayama, any actual breath technique, but I'd like for you to just take this time to connect with your body and your mind through your breath. So we're going to sit here for a couple minutes, just in meditation wise, and just sense what might be going through your mind and your body. And as far as if you want to surrender and let go. Now that you may have reflected on something that really resonates with you, or possibly your intention, we're just going to open our eyes. We're going to inhale our arms over our head. And exhale our hands to heart centered so that our focus is on our heart. Now for our first main pose for yin, we're going to do a nice supported fish pose. So this is where you're going to either have a block or a bolster underneath your chest when you're laying down. And if you don't have that, you can always have some towel, just roll it up. So I personally prefer blocks. That's just me. You can use a bolster, you can use a pillow, something that's going to lift up the heart. And as far as your feet's concerned, we're going to do this in Baddha Konasana, the colors pose, which is the butterfly. Now, I'm going to give a little caveat because I've been discovering lately and this happens periodically. I've been noticing that I've been sleeping, actually sleeping in tree pose. Don't ask me why, you guys. This happens every once in the blue moon. And so I'm going to be quite open. If doing Baddha, which is both your soles of feet together and your knees are spread out, if that's a little intense, I would actually recommend maybe only doing one at a time. Okay, so that's an option. So feel connected to what your body's asking for, and you're just going to lie on the back. And then if it's intense for your head to actually be all the way on the ground, this is where I actually use 2 blocks. So I use another block, the second block, for underneath my head. So everyone's different. We're uniquely created. So it's really important for you to feel what is best for you. Then you can actually have your hands down by your side, palms reach up toward heaven, be more receptive. If you like, you can always keep your eyes closed and really close out the other senses and be more in tune to your body. Since fall follows summer, and during the summertime is all that hard work that you may have been doing or the labor to achieve or produce fruits or vegetables. Fall is when we start to harvest things and store things up for the winter. So this is where we learn to let go, and we can note how leaves do the same thing on trees. So the trees work all summer long producing their fruits. Soon they will be harvested and they'll just allow their leaves to let go. So sense what can you let go and surrender to God. In Yin, we always ask ourselves to find our first spot where your edge is at. So if by chance your feet are at Equinox with the soles of feet together and you do have your knees splayed out, but perhaps the earth's gravity is pulling those knees further apart and it seems a little too tense, you can always place some props underneath those knees to help support them. figure out the distance of the feet relative to your torso, how far you want it. Everyone's going to be different. You actually feel your shoulders and even arms, perhaps the chest open up, drift over your prop, whichever you chose, hoping to open up, exposing your heart suddenly. If there's tension along your jaw or maybe the shoulder or your neck, this is where you can choose to use a prop of some sort underneath your head and relax that jaw by slightly opening up your mouth. I always like to say to moisten your mouth by running your tongue from the right side to the left side of your upper teeth and then allowing it to rest right on the roof of your mouth. As you lay here, perhaps contemplating about the upcoming fall, knowing that we're leading into the season when there's longer darkness, how does that make you feel? Knowing that we all do experience times of darkness, and you see the light. What do you do with that light? Is it more of an opportunity to be able to see that light even brighter when there's darkness? If by chance you had only one leg bent, you may want to alternate to the opposite one. Just make sure you're not out of balance. likewise in the season, everything isn't always, exactly the same. So tomorrow it's when that one day where it's exactly the same. Actually, there's twice in a year where it's exactly the same length. So we can accept the fact that there will be imbalances in our lives. In 2 Corinthians 4:6, God actually speaks exactly about how in the darkness we'll be able to see the light. Be able to be shown in our hearts. Be able to know God's the face of Christ. So we're going to slowly, perhaps, move your left knee, bring it over to kind of sit right on top of your right knee. So you're going to roll off your prop toward your right side gently. Using your left hand, kind of press yourself up. Now you're in a seated position. Just going to windshield wiper your knees. You actually feel some motion along your hips. And then sitting up again, make sure your sits bones make contact to the earth, your mat. And then your feet are still now back at Baddha Konasana. You decide how far or how large you want the diamond. And then this time, again, you can always place yourself on a bolster or some type of cushion or just even blanket and kind of elevate it slightly. So at your hips, so we're going to really be working the hips, your spine is nice and elongated, and then you're going to start bending forward. And bend forward, don't go very far. So again, as soon as you feel some resistance in your hips, you can always stop there. And we're just going to fold forward. Right, little counterbalance. So in 2 Corinthians 4:6, the actual verse is, "For God who said, 'Light shall shine out of darkness,' is the one who has shown in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Christ." So perhaps when you're laying back, with your heart open, you may have heard or experienced something. Or perhaps now when you're not facing upward, but actually looking down. Sometimes that's when we hear Holy Spirit more. So embrace what we face, knowing that we're never alone. So while you're in this pose, you may be able to discover yourself going a little bit deeper. And again, everyone's going to be at a different pace, so that's completely fine. More importantly, it is the body asking to go deeper, not the mind trying to force it. So really listen to your body. You can always use props to support the knee so it doesn't open up deeper if you feel a little bit of strain along the inside of your groin or perhaps the inside of your kneecaps, internal side, I should say. If you notice your shoulders are a little tight, perhaps maybe putting some props underneath your elbows, you could always prop it upward. Imagining yourself just letting go. And we're slowly using our hands, just start walking ourselves back in, upward. This time we're going to place our hands behind, underneath our shoulders, plant our feet on the mat, hip width apart, and just lift your body up off the ground slightly. You can feel a stretch along your hip flexors. Whoa, yeah. So you can pulse if you want, it's up to you. You can feel a little bit of blood circulation going, feeding into it. That's the beauty of Yin. Then you can cleanse yourself back down. All right. So now we're going to work on the lateral side of our heart. So again, if you want a couple options, so you can have a bolster, you can have it laying horizontal from your mat. You can use a block, but if you have a block, you can either put a towel over it, or you can even roll your mat over it so it's not so tight, because you're going to be placing it right underneath your rib cage, your chest area. Or you can have a blanket or a towel and just really roll it up there. So I have a bolster, so I'm going to actually use my bolster. So find what works best for you. Really trying to open up the different areas. And so what's going to happen is you're going to roll, you're going to be on your side. So I'm going to be facing right side first, and I'm going to roll over it. I'm going to place my right hand right above it. And then either one or two things, you can either use your right hand and just prop it up here. If you happen to have other props, you can put them underneath it. That's me because of my cervical spine issue. If you want, you can actually roll all the way down. So some people actually prefer that. So you choose. Now the other options with your legs is right now I have both knees stacked on top of each other. Some may choose to actually extend their upper leg straight down. So you have the choice. Yogi's choice. So we're working the fascias along our entire rib cage. So the biggest part when you're in this kind of pose is take notice of your jaw. So if you're noticing there's tension, see what kind of adjustment you need to relax that, because the neck is where your head's kind of coming toward the mat, and you may need to prop something there. For those that even want to work on their left lateral stretch, you can always extend your left arm overhead and just let it flip over your head, touching your right, kind of like a little rainbow. You can feel that pull along the entire left side if your right side's down toward the ground. If you're in the opposite direction, then the right side. So again, everyone's going to be different. Listen to what feels good. If you sense any kind of tingling or shoulder pain, that's definitely your body's way of saying to not do that. So please back out. For me, when I just did this pose, I immediately saw some of that orange and yellow color, almost like those autumn leaves. I definitely opened up some of the chakras. Sometimes the biggest challenge for people in a yin class is the fact that we're kind of like in a meditation. It's very quiet, and your mind might want to wander all over the place. What you may want to do is consider when you're breathing, think about it. God breathed life into us. And you can allow that breath come from your, let's say your left leg is extended, up through your left toes, all the way up as you inhale, up that left or your leg, up your left
body, lateral side up to the top of your left arm that's extended. And then as you exhale, go into reverse. Now, if your left leg, upper leg is extended, please bend that left knee to the top knee and have it match your lower leg. And then place your upper arms underneath your upper shoulders and press yourself up. And then extending that leg again, we're going to just sweep our arms with your breath, just sweep that upper arm all the way up. Just allow it to flow, just like the wind. You know how we have those little nice fall autumn breeze? So just let sweep, do some motion into the arm there, shoulders. Feel a little difference in your rib cage and all. Beautiful. And now we're going to switch sides. So bend your left knee. We're going to rotate onto our left side, or if you were in the opposite, you can go to your right. And same thing. So you know, place your left side, your rib cage, right over it. If both knees are stacked, that's fine. If you want, you can always extend it straight out your upper leg. We're going to do this side. So again, if you want to do the same thing with that upper side lateral stretch, you can extend that right arm over your head, reach toward the floor. Few weeks back, we really focused on Ecclesiastes about time in the season. Fall time and springtime are exactly the time that I really resonate with God's word. So reflect on this: a time to search, a time to give up, time to keep, and time to throw away. What could you be holding on to that you can actually throw away, don't need? Something in the fall is what can you give up? Yeah. So we are asymmetric, so be mindful. If by chance your body feels different or you have that numbness tingling, make sure, it depends on where, it could be in the leg, it could be in your arms or whatever. Make the proper adjustment. You can always move. You do not have to have your arms extended. You do not have to have your legs extended. Um, Maybe you discover that whatever prop you're using might be a little too high, or maybe you discover, I'm not feeling anything, so maybe I want to try to have a prop that's a little bit higher. So this is where you take notice. Once you find that, then you find that stillness. That's the beauty of being still and not. If your arm is extended, you can lower it back down to the rest of your body. And then you can always stack your right leg on top of your left and your upper arms over to help you push yourself up slowly. Be very, very mindful. Going to be facing there. Now you're going to extend that upper leg. We're going to sweep with your breath, your right arm, the same motion that we had beforehand. And when you're rolling, you're going to feel yourself rolling a little bit along your lower or your left hip. Give a little bit of massage. All right. And we're going to remove your props from your mat. We're going to go into our Sphinx pose. So we're going to get onto our belly. And so your elbows will be directly underneath your shoulders, your forearms on the ground. So if you do prefer making this a little bit more restorative, you can always have some of those props. You can always put blankets or your bolster or possibly even your blocks underneath where kind of like your chest would be at. So that's an option. But instead of compressing your lower back, I'd like for you to first feel where your feet are relative to your hips. Okay, so are they still in track with that? Then if you feel that lower compression, I'd like for you to slightly engage that core, so as if you're kind of trying to bring your belly button to the back spine. You feel a little bit of release. So that's if you felt that nagging feeling in your lower back. That should help. And once that happens, see if you can relax those gluteus maximus, aka butt cheeks, you guys. So chances are you did not even realize it, but you've been like really tightening that. And most likely tightening your jaw. So can you relax those? Can that be something that you give up? For some folks, they actually prefer doing seal, and that's where you're going to have your hands a little bit closer toward your shoulders, and you extend your elbows. You straighten your elbows. I do not personally like seal pose, so that's like that. But a lot of people go a lot higher. I actually prefer staying in Sphinx pose, but I want to give you that option. So again, that's a great heart opener as well, and that gives you a little bit more of a back bend. But this is where you become a lot more attuned to what is best for your own body. So please do stick with that. All right, so now we're going to slowly come down to our mat, lower ourselves down. Extend your elbows outward. So we're going to do what's called a chicken wing. So let me kind of premise this. So you're going to extend your right arm straight, and then now be very mindful. So if by chance this becomes intense, do not go all the way. So I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to use my left hand directly underneath my left shoulder. My right ear is going to go toward the mat. And then I would push myself to my side so that my shoulders now, my right shoulder is pressed into the ground. So be very cautious on this one. So what I'm doing with my left leg is, in order to help prop it up, I have my left knee bent. Going to slowly release, allowing your left knee to come down toward the mat. Whole body. Slowly start bending in your left or right hand. If you want, you can actually push yourself up and do a cat-cow or a couple cat-cows. Feel the difference between your spine. You notice how one side feels a lot more open than the other side, or at least I feel a difference between the two. And then we're going to return back down to the mat. Extend that left arm out. Place your left ear toward the mat. Body straight, and then kind of roll over to your left side, having your right arm helping you. So that's kind of like your little training wheels, if you want to call it that. And then I'm using my other training wheels with my right leg. Now, sometimes you notice if you bend your right knee, it makes you want to fall forward. So you can always keep it straight if you feel that that's actually easier. I'm definitely feeling the difference between the two sides. So that's just again awareness, no judgment. To actually stack my legs on top of each other, having my right being bent, it made my body want to keep on forward. Again, in this pose, you can do the same kind of breathing technique beforehand and just imagine your breath coming from the tip of one toe all the way up the body. And then we're going to slowly come back onto our belly. So you can always move your right leg carefully, bring your body forward, bend your left elbow, and then we're going to push ourselves up gently. Do a couple cat-cows again. Inhale into cow, exhale into cat. Going to a child's pose. You can always use a supported child's pose. So you can have a bolster, kind of like underneath where your arms would be. You don't actually have to go all the way down. Just trying to expand that back rib, that area of the chest. If you like, you can actually massage your forehead. Just kind of roll your head left and right, kind of like as if you're shaking your head. No. And then you're going to slowly walk your hands and underneath you. We're going to get ready for our Shavasana. So again, this is where you may want to have a small little prop underneath, kind of like where we started at the beginning, but I'm going to choose for it to be a lot lower. So in my case, I'm going to look for a blanket, a towel, I should say, a blanket upstairs. Very, very small, just like a small little release there. So as we're lying down, and it's slightly underneath that area so that my shoulders can be completely over it. So I don't want my shoulders to be up, so it's easily down. You can keep your knees bent, facing up toward heaven. So stay here right now. You can just feel your chest open up slightly. Feel counter pose for what we were just doing. And then as we get ready to go into our final resting pose, you can choose to have your knees bent here or legs at the wall, or extend your heels to each corner of the mat, your right to the right, your left to the left. Have your eyes closed. What can you let go? What can you give up? What have you been holding on? Is there anything that you have been holding on that you need to release? And just bring a little bit of awareness back into your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Rotate your ankles and your wrists. Make sure you go in the opposite direction. And extend your arms over your head. And if by chance your prop is bothering you, you can always remove the prop from you. Reach your toes together away from you. Nice stretch, inhale here. And as you exhale, bring your arms all the way down, bend your knees. If you can give yourself a well-deserved hug. Keep your eyes closed. You're going to go over to your right side. Make sure you keep your cervical spine alignment so you can use your prop or use your lower arm. And stay there for at least 2 breath cycles. Nice full breath of life. Use your upper arm to press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Have your hands resting gently on top of your thighs. Thumb and index finger touch each other to show that eternal love. We're going to do 3 full breath cycles. As we're going to inhale fully through our nose, we're going to exhale out through our mouth, breath. Deep inhale here. Full exhale. And last final third. Inhale here. Beautiful cleansing exhale. Blowing your hands together, palm touching palm, thumb resting right above your heart, tucking your chin down toward your heart. May this practice provide you with the way of knowing and opening up your heart. Know that even when we're going to be facing the darkness, that is when we allow God to shine, see His light, shine through the darkness and beyond. Thank you for coming. Namaste.